Hello, guys. Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Sonic Radio studio. Today, I'm proudly continuing our series of web interviews, and I'm super happy to welcome to the studio Velibor Nikolić. Hi, Velibor. How are you?
Hi, I'm pretty fine. How are you?
Super. Actually, let me introduce our guest. Velibor is a true veteran on the heavy rock scene in Serbia, and is coming from a town or a city called Pančevo, right?
Yes.
And so it's pretty famous in the Serbian scene, but not only. I would say that is pretty well known in the entire Balkan region, thanks to the tours that he was doing with his previous band, the Java Sabate, and also the actual one, Brigand, that he founded in 2011. Velibor has also some experience as in some solo project, and I think we will talk a little about this during the interview. And talking about Brigand, his last project, they published a new album during last year. The title of the album is Iza Crne Duge, an album that was warmly acclaimed by the fans, and I'm really excited to talk about it with you, Velibor. And so I think we can start the interview, and we start from you, Velibor. So tell us a bit about yourself, your story, how you started being a musician, how you founded two bands so far. So tell us a bit more about you.
Okay, hello everybody, and hello to Yurik. My name is Velibor Nikolić, and I come from the city of Pančevo, which is a city near Belgrade in a northern province of Vojvodina in Serbia. I am playing in various bands for more than 22 years, actually. And when you said veteran, you were spot on, you were right. But I'm still less than 40 years old. I started very young. My first band, I formed my first band that was called Sublimacija when I was 15 years old. And that was when I grew up. I grew up in a very small town called Alibunar, which is really a small place to try to even think about forming a rock band. So when I came to Pančevo, it was different because that's much bigger city and it had a lively scene there. Like 20 years ago, there were many bands that were active and see some point in making their own songs, which isn't the case now, unfortunately.
And now
So
you are
that's
still based there?
Yes,
Or
I was based in Belgrade from time to time because it's very close. It's like Oakland, San Francisco, and Brigand was formed in Belgrade actually, and most of the members were from the Belgrade through the years, and band was active in Belgrade for like 7 or 8 years. But I transferred the band back to Pančevo like 2 years ago for practical reasons. Uh, Belgrade was simply unsustainable for living in the last couple of years, unfortunately. So it's more or less, I'm like a gypsy. I don't have like my own place or something. I'm constantly moving from space to space for practicing. I'm not like a stable guy who will make his own place forever to play. But yes, I play guitar for like 25 years, and unfortunately, I'm a singer for like 15 years.
no, come on. I heard your performances and you are pretty good. I
I
mean,
didn't say that I am a bad singer. I said that
and you're
I don't like to do it, but that doesn't mean I don't know how to sing.
nice. So actually, you had the time also to work as also as solist, right? Because for example, a few weeks ago you released a single entitled Paranormala.
Yes.
And so how does it work? Like you in parallel you go on with some project that you do only on your own, and at the same time you work with the band, or in general, how do you feel like about this?
Yeah, it's completely logical question, but it's always so spontaneous with me. Every story has its own history. I'll try to make it short because situation with the COVID and everything,
Yeah.
there were no gigs. I didn't have nothing to do, and I had some private situation in the last year or something, and I tried to maintain my focus to on music. So in August, I made that song out of nowhere in my home studio, just like that, for that, no apparent reason. It's a how do you say, l'art pour l'art, art for art. You know what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say, l'art pour l'art. Yeah, but it turned out good, and I was satisfied. And I contacted one of my labels, Bitume, that's a French label, and I
Mhm.
contacted German. Would he like to publish it? And he said, yeah, sure. So
Oh,
he
super.
put it out, and I made a small video, and that's all story. All my solo career, I don't even consider a career, because I'm always working something. I'm constantly recording, playing, jamming. It's just the thing that I always know what is for house conditions only, not to put it out, what is solo and what is for the band.
You're a really prolific artist.
Yeah, because I strongly believe that quantity can be make a burst to quality. I mean, if I make 20 songs, if two of them are good, I'll be satisfied.
So, and actually, so how do you rate Brigand among your projects? Like, do you think that it's like your ultimate and best project, or maybe in the future you can imagine yourself as a strong solo artist?
The thing is, I'm a realistic person. I'm an andragogist by call, and I learned a lot about psychology of getting old. And the
Hmm.
peak performance for the artist is 25 years.
Oh,
You cannot do anything about that. It's 25 years, no more, no less. So there are exceptions. Of course, you can make a great song when you're 70. I don't want to melt anyone's snowman, but it's realistic. We are going to die. I mean, and I strongly believe that Javi Sabata's last record, which I worked on when I was 25, and Iza Crne Duge, which is last Brigand record, are the two best part of art that I invested myself in. I am really not sure will I be able to make something of similar quality, but on the other hand, it's very, very pretentious and very ungrateful to judge yourself and put yourself on the list. Where do you see
yeah,
yourself comparing to others? So let the time be judge. I cannot
exactly.
judge myself by my performance. Maybe
And
some solo song or album will pop out that will be great or terrible. I mean, I made terrible songs in past. I can admit that. I mean, everybody has vanity, but let's be realistic here. I have almost 40 years, and I'm tired, man. I'm very tired.
hmm. So actually, I think it's a really good moment to make the audience more familiar with your style, your songs, and that's why we are going to listen to one single coming from your last album, Iza Crne Duge. The title is Nekromantik, and I don't know. Do you want to say a few words about the single, about the title, or before we go,
Yes,
or we just listen?
I would like
Okay.
I would like to say. I mean, Nekromantik is one of our fastest songs and one of the hardest songs. Beside me, there are two more members in the band: Stefan Gacic on the bass and Milan Saric on drums. So it's three of us, and we had the guest vocals on that song by Jasno Kinjic, back vocals. So that's more or less. Nekromantik is like.
It's a
That
mythological
second part
creature.
reminds me a little bit of late Swans, a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. I will say that I will also do such comparison.
it's garage rock meets Swans.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Okay. So guys, this is Nekromantik by Brigand. Let's go. Enjoy.
Nekromantik
guys, we are back. And actually we are going on talking about Brigand and their last album together with Velibor. And I have a question for you, Velibor. So I tried to translate the title of your album. Unfortunately, my Polish didn't help too much with the Serbian, so I had to ask for help for Google Translator. And the translation is something like "Over the Black Rainbow." So firstly, I wanted to ask you if this is a acceptable translation, but also admitting that it is, I wanted to ask you, so like this is like reflecting a bit the atmosphere and the mood of the album that is pretty dark, but also maybe it's something like a way to look over that black rainbow that is like the darkness of something, I don't know. So I wanted to ask you if you can comment on like the general mood and the general atmosphere that you wanted to transmit to the listeners, and also maybe giving a bit of context about the production of this record.
Okay.
And, let's start from the title. Exactly.
Yeah, you asked me about the title. The real meaning is not Iza Crne Duge. You missed one word. Actually, it's behind the black rainbow. It's not above. And actually, I wanted to name the album from the movie Beyond the Black Rainbow, which I watched like 7 years ago, and it made a very heavy impression on me. So I was like, hey, I would like to name an album like Beyond Black Rainbow, but when you literally translated it, it turned out to be behind, not beyond.
Interesting.
Black Rainbow. So it's yes and no at the same time. So yes, it's inspired by the movie, but it's not literally.
So it's a quotation or inspiration.
Yeah, it's not literal quotation. And the meaning is simple. It's like, is there a life after death? And that death, it's not just death of your body. I thought about the death of a part of your life. Actually, Iza Crne Duge is actually, meaning is death of a part of a life. And is there a life after that period of your life?
Wow. So,
and of course, it's autobiographical.
Yeah. So this explanation gives a totally other like profile to the record now. Honestly, like now I feel it more. Thanks for this.
Do you want more explanation? I did that many times. I can do it. The thing is, I wanted, when I start writing the lyrics, I first wanted it to be like those typical rock and roll beta male crap, like I love her and she doesn't love me, you know, that shit that is present on every second rock and roll album. But later on, it turned out to be something quite completely else, completely different. And it turned out to be our most political record in our career. That's very strange. When you want to start personally, but end up very, very socially. So it's a mixture, actually. I wanted to make a personal story, but it turned out to be a very, very larger story about how it is for a Gen Xer to live in the 2020s, which is terrible in a spiritual way, which is terrible in an emotional way, maybe most devastating in emotional way, and how it is to live in such a, I mean, I don't like when people talk to strangers badly in interviews about their country, but we really have a lot of problems here, you know. And so I want to pinpoint those things that are really bad in our society, but some of the songs can be applied to the rest of the world. But yes, I'm in Serbia and Serbian society. So it was more on that, and we have some personal changes when we start jamming. And at one point, Stefan, Milan, and I gathered and start jamming constantly about music, making it, forming, and we realized that it's a very solid, it's a solid material. It's more coherent than the previous record. And we recorded it in Stefan's studio because Stefan is also a producer, and it was very smooth. To be honest, I mean, it was like the smoothest recording session I ever had in my life. Everything went so smoothly that I just fucking knew that something is going to happen very bad in the end. And that is that the COVID started 2 weeks after the album was out.
But maybe the title, imagine for a person listening to it during COVID, it could like get a new form, like what is next this moment.
Yeah,
So
it's a wave
somehow,
of
yeah, somehow you can still gain from this bad situation. So
yes.
and so because given your explanation, I would say that the record will be much deeper for someone listening to it if this person could understand the lyrics, right? And this basically result in like a Serbian audience. So have you ever thought about singing in English? Because I would say that the type of music that you do will really fit well the English speaking lyrics, for example.
I experimented with the English language when I was younger. In my previous band, Joey Sabate, on every record, we had three records. There were a couple of songs in English, and I noticed later that all English songs are much less listened and paid attention than the other songs. And when you have a very small audience, that's like very, very bad, because if you have like 20 euros in your pocket and somebody take you 18 euros, you're left with 2 euros. So you can go just kill yourself. So it's not a good thing. And I realized it's better to play. And another thing, when you play live and you sing in Serbian, the audience will sing with you. That happened all the time. And when you sing in English, you know, English is amazing language for rock and roll. It's born for rock and roll because it's liquid, it's nice. It's all just, you don't hear the words. It's just, it's like an instrument. And Serbian is terrible. It's Slavic languages are terrible. I mean, you live in Poland, so I think you know a couple of things about that. It's just not made for rock and roll. So we have a double task. We have to write decent lyrics. We have to make a good melody above the riff for singing. And then you have to do the metrics that you don't have to do when you sing in English. You have to make it meaningful and to have the least possible ch, j, j, and more like z, s, r, m, n, b, to make it sound nicer as a package to the listener.
So basically you chose the hardest path.
Well, I'm not sure, is it a choice or destiny? It's a terrible philosophical dilemma, and I hated philosophy on my university. I don't like philosophy.
Well, so maybe I have a next question for you that it's a bit connected to what we are discussing now, but also the previous question. So how it is like being an emerging artist in the Serbian underground scene and in Serbia as a country, as a whole, or you can extend it to Balkans or Europe if you want.
Yes, but I think that Balkan is one part of the world. We have really a lot of things in common, and it's the same language. We understand each other. It's more like dialect. So I get emails and messages from all the parts of ex-Yugoslavia because it basically we understand it. I mean, there are small differences, but I listen to Croatian bands, to Bosnian bands, and I understand them well. But Macedonian bands are the best. I mean, musically, everybody knows that. I mean, it's not stereotype. They're talented people, just like that. But yes, that area, part of the world, is culturally connected, and we're listening to each other. We play ex-Yugoslavian republics, and there are really some great bands here. Our last album was put out on Croatian label, Dallas Records. And so what is like to be an underground musician in Serbia? Well, I don't know, to be honest, because I don't know how it feels, because I live such an average, boring, middle-aged life. I really don't know what to say. I mean, because we weren't active for two reasons. We were really jinxed with the thing when album came out because we couldn't promote it. And after that, I encountered some private issues that ended up with my father passing away a couple of months ago. So I couldn't commit myself to the music completely. So besides rehearsals, in the last couple of years, I really don't know how it's like to be an alternative rock musician. If you asked me that like 5 or 10 years ago, I will have a more meaningful answer. But my guess it's pretty much the same. There are some good things and bad things about Serbia. The good things that we have certain rock and roll heritage that's different from the other ex-communist countries because we weren't part of the Iron Curtain. We were allowed to play rock and roll and listen to rock bands in the 60s and 70s. So we have a little more serious ex-Yugoslavian heritage, which is good, which made some very good movements like New Wave in the 80s and some later on bands that exploited that in a good way. So we are like, how to say, more collectively experienced than other. I mean, Serbia is not typically Eastern Europe, but they always put us in Eastern Europe. But we have a little more experience in that. But yes, it's a terrible thing. I mean, you waste all your life and energy on something that you know in advance that it won't pay back. I'm not an idiot. I do it purely for love. I know that if I play, I don't know, folk music, dance music, world music, reggae music, hip hop music, I will have more money and success. I mean, that's typical.
Yeah, you are depicting a situation that is, I think it's not only for you as a Serbian in Serbia, but I had other interviews with other artists like you, and somehow the answer was the same. Plus, also obviously, it was a really heavy hit. This the fact about pandemic, because unless you have a really huge fan base that can support you even without touring, it's difficult to live only from this. So in this sense, I hope that Sonic Radio will help you, even like if we do a +1 in your fan base, we will be satisfied at least. Like I hope really to help you at least. Okay, I recognize what you said, that it's difficult to live only with this, but it's also important to follow our passions, to love, and to do it for love. At least because you know, when there is a listener listening to that song coming from your album, if you can touch him or her like this, like for me, it's already an incredible thing. The fact that we can.
No, don't get me wrong. We have a strong fan base. We have some people that are very, very committed to our song, and especially this last record really hit some people hard. And I'm really glad because of that. I mean, it's always great.
I read the reviews were really good.
Yes, glowing reviews. Yes, and it really was cool. I was really happy because of that. We were all happy. I mean, it's good for confidence. But if the reviews were bad, then you turn on your defense mechanisms and say, "I don't care." So it's a win-win situation, you know.
Yeah,
but
it's true.
This time we didn't have to do it because it was voted album of the year on several sites, and it was unpromoted. So it's very frustrating, very, very frustrating for me. So, but my karma, my whole karma, I think in my previous life I was like some really serious serial killer or something. So I am kind of used for defeats, and I really don't feel defeats anymore. But the other flip side of the coin is that I don't feel victories. So I'm kind of more benevolent in recent period. But yes, we have audience. It's not a big audience. There are many much more popular bands in Serbia. Old timers can live out of music. The bands that made their name in the old Yugoslavia, it was much bigger state, that were active in the 70s and the 80s, they can live out of music. There is a huge scene, and they're playing festivals regularly. And of course, they will do that until they have like 100 years, and I will have 70, and I will be not able to play.
Can you name a few bands that maybe for the audience of Sonic Radio that could be interesting from Serbia?
Sonic Youth's inspired band from Serbia. Well, the oldest one that I heard, first time that I heard Sonic Youth influences was probably Morbidi Noć. Probably, I'm not sure. But now there are many more modern bands that were more influenced by the New York. New Wave was not popular. There was some obscure band like Fake Madonna's Underwear or something like that. But New Wave was not a thing in Serbia. Indie rock, yes, but not new wave, no wave. I'm sorry,
no wave, exactly.
No wave was not a
Yeah,
thing
but-
in Serbia. I'm not sure about the other neighboring countries. Could be. I'm not sure because every country has its own scene now. But I remember one band that was influenced by Sonic Youth, and they started in the 80s. Ogbeni program, colored program. I remember one. Yeah, you can check that out then. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Maybe you will tell me the name later. I like the spelling for the yeah. So actually, I have a last question for you before listening to a couple of two songs from you guys. Yeah, I mean, considering the situation, have you had time to think about possible plans for the future? So when we are back to like the possibility to go to concerts, big festivals, Brigand will be out there to play? Do you think?
We're having rehearsals, but that doesn't mean anything. I mean, we have some general plans, but you know, we have like 5,000 people infected with COVID in the last 24 hours. So I'm not sure what's going to happen, and I really don't know what to think. I don't know. I would love to play, but you know, it's a higher force.
Yeah.
But generally, I'm satisfied that that record came out. That last album, Iza Crne Duge, I'm really happy that I didn't listen to it for a year, and I listened to it like 5 days ago, because usually I don't listen to my work. And I was like, I'm still satisfied. But I mean, it's completely legitimate if you want to say that's just meaningless noise. We are out of tune. We don't know how to tune ourselves. I heard that things all the time, usually from people who think that Deep Purple is the best band in the world. But you know, it's
maybe
okay.
these are.
It's okay.
This is not the main audience of Sonic Radio, I think. I hope.
Yeah, judging by your taste, it's great, because I mean, I like and respect some old classical rock bands. I listen to it. I have a deep respect, for example, for Pink Floyd. Everybody around me listen to them, except me, of course. But when I hear Deep Purple, it's like a degradation of the art. It's like step back in every fucking possible dimension of playing. I mean, we had the Beatles 10 years before them, which were like the best band ever. And then came the 70s and killed the rock and roll. 70s was the period when rock and roll died. It was over. By 72, it was over. Everything then is pure necrophilia. I mean, it can be good, like a wave. We mentioned no wave, and later gothic, dark wave, I don't know, industrial or grunge. Grunge was the
every possible
best, but it will never have the strength. I mean, look, for more than 20 years, Foo Fighters are the best band in the world. That says a lot. I mean, Kurt is spinning in his grave. It's terrible. It's sometimes I'm really angry.
I think we will need another hour to discuss all this stuff, but I really agree with you, Velibor.
Thank you.
I think it's time to go, because normally we try to have a kind of short, quick interviews. But in general, I remember you guys that you can read also the interview, longer version of it in our blog in sonicradio.show. You can find it in the episode 8. Also, I remember you that this very same interview is available in YouTube with our faces. You can see Velibor in his environment, in his home, and maybe also home studio. Oh, wow! Okay, and he's showing us in this moment a really cool art of the album. It's time to say goodbye, I think. So we are going to listen to another song. Personally, it's my favorite one from this album. It's entitled Ugliejnik. What's the meaning of this word?
Chemical element, carbon.
Oh, super. So
it's the basis of all life forms.
Yeah, carbon. Exactly. So guys, this is Ugliejnik by Velibor Nikolić in Brigand. And Velibor, thanks for your time. See you next time.
Thank you too. And
bye.
I'm grateful for you and listen to the Sonic Radio show and all the other bands and Brigand. What else to say? Have a good life. Take care of yourself, people. It's a nasty world out there.
And I hope to see you, to meet you personally one day in Serbia or in Italy.
Sure. Beyond the Black Rainbow.
Yeah. Bye. Thanks.
Ciao.
Dinosaur